So this is my FX30 rig fully built out. I'm gonna show you a whole breakdown of everything. So let's do some movie magic and take it apart. Got on the Sigma 24-70 Art 2.8 lens on there, on the FX30 of course. Now this is a full frame lens on an APS-C camera, but it still works great. It's just more like a 35-ish to a 105-ish, but it's very versatile. But I do also like using the NiSi Athena, although 50mm on APS-C can be a little bit tight sometimes. For example, for a shot like this, I actually had to go for my 20mm on full frame. But let's start building the rig, and as I build it, I'm going to explain the choices and the reasoning behind each of the piece of gear and the benefits and downsides to some of them. Now we have the Smallrig cage for the FX3/FX30. I talked about this in my last rig build ages ago. This is a very different rig, but it's the same cage because I don't need to get a different cage for this camera. So, and as you did notice, I do also have a hand strap on there. A lot of people actually in the comments of my reel on both Instagram and TikTok asked about what this strap was. It's just like a basic hand strap from Smallrig. It literally came in the kit, the cage kit for my FX30. That kit comes with the cage, the hand strap, and the extension for the top handle, the audio top handle that's on the A7 IV right now. That's how I'm recording audio. So it comes with, it's like a kit that comes with all that, and it comes with this strap. But I also bought one of these straps before I got the FX30, and I actually have one on my A7 IV because I just much prefer hand straps over any other sort of straps, and also not having a strap. I prefer to have this hand strap on here because it's just a lot better and more secure than having nothing. This cage kit also came with this HDMI clamp. So this cage has a hole right there on the front. If we can focus on it, please. And that screw just goes right in the front there, and you have an HDMI clamp. Now this isn't necessary, but given how, not secure HDMI in general is, it is good to have on there. So that'll come in handy later. We also have the top plate for the cage. Now this is technically a full cage because it does come with this top plate, although it doesn't cross this bit here with the buttons. And the reason that this is detachable, if you were unaware, is because the top handle that comes with the FX30 and the FX3 bolts onto these two screw holes right here. So it needs to sort of be an optional thing. It can't just be part of the cage. And my last rig, I actually had the audio top handle in the build, and I have been using my main FX30 build has included the top handle for so long until I sort of redid it recently with all this new stuff, with the new monitor and with the rails and everything like that, female battery. And I actually got this handle, which I will talk about later. Now, I am also going to give part numbers for everything that has a part number. So the part number for this whole cage kit that comes with everything that's currently on the camera, plus the extension for the top handle, the number is 4184. So all Smallrig stuff is just has an ID number, so it's really easy to search for sort of thing. But yeah, this kit 4184, and I'll provide the numbers for everything else that has a number. We're gonna now put on the base plate, which actually I need to put on I will put on this tripod plate. Now this is the Smallrig Manfrotto style tripod plate that comes with the Freeblazer tripod that's back there. That's the AD100. And the reason that I'm putting this one on is to fit in the base plate, even though the base plate does have an Arca rail. So how this base plate works, I've talked about this before, but you can either put your Manfrotto plate straight in, that way, or have an Arca plate or the rail on the back, on the bottom of a camera cage, slide it straight in there, and you can put your camera right onto there. So that is handy. However, it doesn't go to the middle, and yeah, it is still easier to use the Manfrotto one because you can drop in, so it just goes in there, you press it in, and it clicks. It just has to be unscrewed the right amount. So I do put on this tripod plate, and it basically stays on here like all the time. I like barely ever take this plate off. And to be fair, recently I haven't even been de-rigging this camera at all. I've just been leaving it fully rigged up because that's the way I prefer to use it. And for some reason, if you're not aware, most camera cages and cinema cameras will have multiple tripod like screw holes. One thing actually I like about this one versus the A7 IV cage is it has a 3/8 and a 1/4-20 in line, so you can have one 3/8 and one 1/4-20 screw, because most of these tripod plates come with one of each, not two of one. Whereas for some reason the A7 IV has two 1/4-20 screw holes. I don't know why. So we put that on there, and then we take the Tilta dual Manfrotto and Arca base plate. I like to line it up so it's sort of in the middle as if it was, you know, slid on with Arca. Screw that on there, and it's on there. And then I also have another Smallrig Manfrotto style plate on the bottom, because that will then go into the tripod. And I wanted to get a longer one just so it's more secure and more stable when I put it down with the whole rig, because, you know, this shorter one, you put it down on the table, if it's a little bit front heavy, side heavy, back heavy, anything, it'll just sort of fall. So I got a longer one just to put on the bottom of the rig so I can just put it straight down there. Also, it helps to have another one because I can now keep the original one on the camera and then put the other one on the bottom. Because Tilta is not Smallrig, they don't have their numbers, but it is the Tilta 15mm LWS Arca Manfrotto dual base plate. That's what it's called if you are interested. The shorter plate that I mentioned that is on the camera, that is from the Freeblazer AD100 tripod, and then the longer one that I have on the bottom there is the 3158. It's like it's meant for like the DJI gimbals, but it works perfectly fine for any Manfrotto style tripod. All right, now we have the rods. These are Smallrig 30cm or 300mm or 12-inch carbon fiber rods. Now, the reason I got the 12-inch ones, it's probably unnecessary for the most part, but I just wanted to be sure that I could have a battery on the back and also mount stuff on the front like a focus motor when I get it. I don't want to have to get new rods just so I can mount stuff on the front. So I went with the longer ones. It's not ridiculously too long. It's just like the full length of the rig. Like it'll go right to the front of the lens and right to the back of the battery. So I think it works, and it doesn't look too ridiculous, but probably could have got away with shorter ones, but yeah. So I'm gonna slide them right in there, and I like to have it about, now I can adjust these later, but have it roughly to about the front of the lens. Lock that in there, and then you'll see when I put the battery on how far that comes back as well, and the reason that I have it go back so far. So those rods, their number is 851. Now, the battery plate, this is the 3016, and it is very simple, just sort of V-mount plate with rod attachments. So, you know, you slide your rod attachments on there. Okay, so it's on there, and I like to leave a little bit of gap there. Now, I don't want it to stick out too far because I don't want the rods to be sticking out past the battery. So I'll put it about there for now, and I can adjust it after if I need to. Lock them down, and the reason that I leave this big gap here is so there is room for the screen to flip out. And now, as you can see, there's actually a bit of a gap here, so I'll actually move it back a little bit more, or sorry, closer, because I want it to be like as far forward as possible without getting in the way of the screen. So we'll put it there for now. Might move it a little bit if I need to. But now we've got the battery plate on there. We'll take the battery. This is the Smallrig VB99 Pro. I have two of these, one on this camera, one right here. If I needed to have one rig where I need to replace the battery, then, you know, just use both of them for that. Or if I need two rigs to last a long time, I have one on each. So V-mount straight onto there. Hit that click, and the number for this one is 4292, although it would be not hard to find the VB99 Pro. There is the regular VB99, and then they also have the 50, the 155, and then the new Caleb Pike 212. The 212 is actually more similar to the Pro than all the other ones, so I think it's like the 99 Pro and the 212 are sort of both a bit better than the rest of them. They're also newer. The 212 does have 2 D-tap ports on it, which is pretty handy. Top handle, like I mentioned before, this is just like Smallrig's basic lightweight top handle. It is called the lightweight top NATO handle, NATO top handle, whatever. And its number is 3766. And, you know, the reason I got the NATO one is just so I can slide it on easily and then lock it in there. I considered getting the Arri locating pin one because there are locating pins on here with a 3/8 inch mount, but NATO rail is just easier. And then it's also more versatile because like not everywhere where you might want to put a handle has a 3/8 inch threaded hole. So you can either put a NATO rail pretty much anywhere on a camera, or there's multiple places on cages that already have NATO rails. Like on this one, we got the one on top, we have one on the side here, and then, you know, I could just take another one, stick it on this side if I need to, or on the bottom if I'm shooting vertically, whatever you need to do. So that's on there. And then this one has a 3/8 inch mount with locating pins on the front and one on the top here. I don't use the one on the top. Right there. Can we focus? There we go. So it's got one on the top. It also has a bunch of cold shoe mounts. I don't really need to use the cold shoe mounts because the only thing that I would use a cold shoe mount for would be a mic, and I'll just put that straight on the side of the camera here, or maybe on like the back of the handle, but usually I'd just go like right here. So next we have the monitor mount. This is the Smallrig dual ball head with 1/4-20. I'm gonna really get up there so we can focus on that. So it's got a 1/4-20 with locating pins, and then the other end is 3/8 inch with locating pins. So this is very useful. I have 2 of these. I actually have one for my other rig. I bought a second one for, you know, my second rig sort of thing, because the only other monitor mount I have is like the monitor mount Lite, which isn't really strong enough to hold up a monitor with a battery on it. Now, to be fair, I don't use batteries anymore, but it's just, yeah, it's not the best. So I do like these ones because they're basically just magic arms, except they're better than the magic arms that I have because they have like the captive screw in here. Now, I could just get magic arms with captive screws, but it's also like, I don't need longer magic arms than this one. So the one downside to using this instead of a regular, like, you know, tilting monitor mount is you can't just adjust these without loosening it. You have to loosen it to adjust it. Whereas with something like this is the monitor mount Lite that I was talking about. It just goes straight into a cold shoe, which is not as secure as, you know, actually screwing it into anything. But if I put that on there, then I could just tilt it without loosening anything, which can be helpful if you're like going from like, you know, holding it down low to holding it up high. You want to tilt the monitor differently. But yeah, these are just a little bit more versatile, I think. So I do go with these. And then the number for that one is 3874. There is a version with 2 1/4-20s. There might be a version with 2 3/8s, but I'm not sure. But basically the reason that I go for the 1/4-20 and 3/8 is the 3/8 inch with the locating pins will go into a handle or wherever else I would want to mount a monitor. There's usually a 3/8 inch mount somewhere, but most monitors, some of them have both 3/8 inch and 1/4-20, like the Adamus Ninja 5 that I'm actually monitoring on right now. So you can see there's sort of like an insert. It's a 3/8 inch mount with a 1/4-20 inside it, so you can take out the insert and then it turns into a 1/4-20. You put in the insert and it's a 1/4-20, take out the insert and it's a 3/8. Not all monitors have that though. This Feelworld LUT 7 does not, so I just go straight for the 1/4-20. Screw that on there, tighten it down with the little like, I don't even know what this would be called, but you know, it's just there to tighten the things, and you do need to tighten it with that, like pretty much every time, which is a little bit annoying. It's like, you can get it finger tight, but it's not gonna be tight enough for most things. It'll wiggle a little bit, so I do like to fully crank it down every time. So, like I mentioned, Feelworld LUT 7, this is a 7-inch monitor. Feelworld did send it to me, but this isn't a sponsor video or anything like that. Then they're not sponsoring anything, they just sent it to me. And I like having this 7-inch monitor. That's the one thing that I was sort of really hoping to get out of getting this, was the 7-inch monitor is just so much better, especially on a bigger rig. Like 5-inch makes more sense on smaller rigs, but 7-inch monitor is just so much better, in my opinion. And I did make a whole video about 7 versus 5-inch monitors recently, so go check that out over there, or at the end of the video, if you're interested. So now to connect everything with cables, this is a Kondor Blue HDMI coiled cable. It's like 12-inch to 24-inch. I'm not sure how I feel about the coiled, because it seems to just like, because of the, like, yes, it stretches, but if you pull it out that way, it has that tension on it that kind of don't really want on your cables. So I don't know how I feel about the coiled. I do also have this Smallrig ultra thin HDMI cable, which is 2956, that I usually would use on my other rig. Could use it on this rig, doesn't really matter, but you know, the Kondor Blue ones do look better. So plug that into the monitor there and into the camera there. So we've got that on the side. Okay, so we've got the HDMI cable on. Now we need to power it. And one of the good things about this VMAT battery, the VB99 Pro, is it has so many ports. So it has 2 USB-Cs, a USB-A, 2 DCs, and a D-tap. So this is the Kondor Blue 15-inch D-tap to DC straight cable. There is a coiled version that's a bit longer. I was considering getting that one, but I decided to go with the straight one, and I think this is actually better because the coiled cables can kind of just get in the way. Whereas this one, because it's straight, I can just sort of like weave it through out of the way. I hook it under the little like screw hole handle thing, sort of hook it under that, wrap it around the front of the handle, and then actually around the HDMI cable, and then plug it in right there to the DC in port on this monitor. So it's a little bit, you know, all over the place, but not too much. So it's just like, it's not like there's a whole coiled bit just hanging right through where I need to grab the handle. So that's to power the monitor. Now the monitor has power, and then to power the camera, I'm going to take the USB-C port here and here, and then this is just a Ugreen 0.5 meter USB-C to C cable. And basically how I do this one is I just like run it through the gap here, because it is a little bit long. I could get a shorter one, and I am getting a shorter one for my other rig today as well that I'm going to go pick up. And then I'll just sort of loop it around there, and it doesn't stick out too much. And what I actually do is I hook it down under this sort of the screw handle there. So if you can see that, I know the lighting's not great there, but I'll hook it around there, and then it'll come straight up and then into one of the USB-C ports. So then it's mostly out of the way. The only place it'd really get in the way is if I flip the screen out and I'm trying to, like, you know, flip it all the way down, but it's not really in the way for much there. So this is almost there. Now the next bit is sort of kind of like the lenses options, depending on what I need. The videos that I've done lately, which like sort of show off the rig, I've used the Polar Pro Recon matte box, and the main reason is because it's a matte box, so it looks better on video. That's the main reason that I put it on the rig in the videos. Most of the time though, I actually do use the NiSi Swift system. I've done a video on this before, also done a video on the Polar Pro matte box, so go check them out. But the NiSi Swift is a press-on system, so you screw on the VND, and then you can press on, like this is the 1/4 mist filter, and then it's actually very similar with the Polar Pro. Like this is a VND. This one's a 1 to 5 stop, which is why I use it more, and this is a 3 to 6. So if I'm shooting in not super bright light, then I'll probably use this one, so I can go all the way down to 1 stop. Whereas, you know, starting at 3 stops is a little much. And then this one also, I have the mist filter on there. This is the 1/4 mist as well. Although for some reason, the 1/4 from the NiSi and the 1/4 on the Polar Pro are quite different. I don't know why, but I'll put on one of these. Let's put on the matte box again because it looks better on video. So you just screw the filter on here. Now, because it's an 82mm filter thread lens, I don't need any step-up rings or anything. If I'm using a different lens with a different filter thread, I'll just get a step-up ring to 82mm. So we have the VND on there and the 1/4 mist, and then I'll just put the matte box on. Again, Polar Pro Recon matte box. Now you don't need a matte box, and I feel like I don't know if I've really changed my mind about this matte box, but like this matte box is kind of useless compared to the benefits of like a proper like cinema matte box, you know, like any other one that you'd see, or the new Kondor Blue one. Actually, I really want to try that one out, because you don't actually need it. Like you put the VND on and then you press the filter on anyway, and you can't add any more. This doesn't take 4x5 filters, so there's not really much you can do. All the matte box does is maybe block out some light for like flare control and stuff like that. And it does look better, so you know, that's why I usually put it on the rig if I'm making a video about the rig. But other than that, yeah, it's no more than just a VND that you can then, you know, clip another filter onto, which is basically what the NiSi Swift does as well. It just doesn't have a matte box. This is sort of done sometimes, depending on how I want to run it. So this is fine if I just want the handle. If I was to run a follow focus, then maybe I'll just like, you know, put the follow focus on the rail and I can control it there. If not, like if I'm using this autofocus lens, then unless I'm only going to be using the top handle for some reason, or it's only going to be on a tripod, then I will put another handle on, which is this Smallrig rotating top side handle. It is the left one. Like you can put it on the right, but it's just sort of doesn't feel that good. So it is a left handle. It's a NATO rail slide on. So you just slide it right onto the NATO rail on the side of the cage, which is handy. I really like having NATO rails built into the cage, so then you don't have to add rails separately. So if I am gonna try and like two-hand this, I'll run it like this. One hand on just the camera grip itself that I have that strap on, and then the other one on the rotating left handle. And then if I was to do more of like a top handle rig, if I was gonna like run the camera a bit lower, then I can rotate this back a bit, and maybe I'll get this out of the way. And if I rotate the grip forward, then I can have it more of a similar angle to the top handle, so it sort of is a bit more useful than having this. Like that's not comfortable, but that is. So if I am going to run the side handle like that, then it's useful to have it on there if I'm running a top handle, or if I'm using the camera by the top handle. So that's the main rig without any like audio stuff, because sometimes you don't really need audio if someone else is doing audio maybe. But if I do need audio, then I have a few options depending on what I need. So if I need like backups of audio, then I can use the audio top handle that I'm using on the A7 IV now, and then I'll use the Rode NTG1 that I'm recording with right now. I'll put that on there, and then I can also use, you know, a 3.5mm mic like the Rode Wireless Pro. If I don't need backups of audio, if I just need like a single audio source on here, if it can be wireless, like if I'm doing labs or something, then I'll use the Rode Wireless Pro, and then I can lav up whoever's talking, or I can put another mic on the transmitter, and then we can, you know, have wireless audio that way. If I need audio on the rig itself, then I'll use either the Rode VideoMic Go 2 or the Rode VideoMic Pro Plus, depending on whether I can fit this one on or not. Because like if I put this here, the monitor's kind of in the way. You know, if I slide that on right there, then I'd have to move the monitor, and it's like, I could do that. I could slide it onto the handle, which could work. It just means I can't really rotate the handle. With this one though, I can sort of fit it underneath without moving the monitor too much, but I would still have to move it a bit. So yeah, they're the options. And then yeah, of course we have the Rode Wireless Pro, which will fit on there perfectly, and I can, you know, just plug that straight into the camera, and then that'll be how I do audio. One of those options. Can you stop, please? Thank you. But let me know what you think of the rig itself. Anything that you're unsure about. Part numbers, I'll put everything in the description. I don't think I'll have links in there. Maybe I will, but I don't think I'll have links, but I will have the names of everything. And yeah, that's my main rig. I'm also going to do a video about my other rig, because I think that has some more interesting things in it. So stay tuned for that. And stay tuned for a future video on the matte batteries, because that's coming soon as well. But thank you for watching. Let me know what you think of the rig, and do all the other things. Go watch another video. See you next time. Okay, bye.